Hello, members of the Finance and Governance Committee and Mayor Pro Tem, members of the City Council and the public. This is Donna Ventura, the Assistant Chief Financial Officer, and I'm here to present an item related to the city's continuing efforts to strengthen our system of internal controls and infrastructure around those controls. The recommendation for the Finance and Governance Committee is to provide feedback on a proposed City Council policy for development and implementation of internal controls and recommend City Council approve the proposed policy. The recommendation for the City Council will be to approve the proposed policy. This is a fairly short item. I'm just going to do a brief review of the 9 policies associated with the Internal Control Integrated Framework, or ICIF. Several of these policies have already been previously approved by the Council. And then I'll provide an overview of the specific policy that we're presenting for adoption related to the development and implementation of internal controls. So as I mentioned, there are 9 policies that are prescribed by the ICIF that cover about 5 different categories: the control environment, risk assessment, control activities, information and communication, and monitoring activities. These first 4 under control environment, those policies were adopted on September 1st by the Council. The 5th policy related to performance evaluations was previously existing and in place, so no need to propose a new policy there. And then on January 5th, just last month, the Council adopted the risk assessment responsibilities policy. So today we'll be talking about the next policy in this proposed framework, called Development and Implementation of Internal Controls. So this is an implementing policy that is defining the Council's activities as they relate to development and implementation of internal controls. It essentially is reaffirming the Council's commitment to hold management accountable for establishing and putting in place appropriate control activities and monitoring compliance with those controls. So what are the activities that this policy defines for the Council? First is that the Council is manager to develop internal controls tailored to the city's structure, risk exposure, and resource levels. To the extent resource levels are not adequate to reduce risk in some areas, the Council will reassess its risk tolerance philosophy and provide specific direction to the city manager. The city practices shall comply with ICIF principles and components related to internal control. And lastly, controls shall be developed that respond to and assure compliance with findings from external and/or internal audits, and that consider the outcomes of risk assessments performed in accordance with the risk assessment policy that was just approved last month. Our next steps in implementing the ICIF are to first, in the spring of 2021, engage a consulting firm to perform that comprehensive risk assessment as the first step in adopting a new risk management framework and risk management program. And then for the remainder of 2021, we will be bringing the last 2 ICIF policies to the Finance and Governance Committee and to City Council. And those policies deal with information and communication and monitoring activities. And that's the end of the presentation. And I will be available at both meetings to answer questions and receive your feedback. Thank you for your attention.